It's time for Michael Morales Torres and Lucha Libre Online.
Saludos a toda la afición de la lucha libre. Este que les habla es Michael Morales Torres, integrante del equipo de Lucha Libre Online. Y antes de que comience esta súper entrevista con DDP, tengo varias cosas que decirles. Ustedes pueden adquirir y ser parte de esta gran familia de DDP Yoga. Simplemente tienen que acceder a ddpyoga.com y bajar su aplicación como DDP Yoga para que puedan ser parte de esta familia y tener una gran oportunidad de cambiar su rutina de vida, de ser más saludable y de tener una nueva oportunidad, porque DDP mismo van a escuchar durante la entrevista en el transcurso, que él menciona cómo esto ha cambiado la vida, no de una, no de dos, sino de cientos de miles de personas. Así que ddpyoga.com. Ahí también pueden conseguir la mercancía como t-shirts, hoodie, entre muchas otras cosas. El yoga app de DDP, que sería DDP Yoga App, ahí lo pueden conseguir. Instagram, @DDP Yoga. Facebook, DDP Yoga, y YouTube, DDP Yoga, y Twitter, @DDP Yoga. De igual manera, Positively Unstoppable, el libro de DDP, está disponible en Amazon.com. Positively Unstoppable, el libro que le cambió la vida a muchas personas, incluyendo a Jade the Snake Roberts. Positivelyunstoppable.com para esa oportunidad de ganar $1 millón como parte de este reto de las personas que adquieran el libro y tengan esa historia para contar. Así que positivelyunstoppable.com y Positively Unstoppable, el libro. De igual manera pueden ver Relentless, el documental de Diamond Dallas Page. Relentless está disponible en Amazon Prime. Relentless lo puedes encontrar, muchas personas lo han visto, y si lo ven, déjenle un review de 5 estrellas, muy bueno, dense la oportunidad. Relentless en Amazon Prime, también pueden ver en Amazon Prime The Resurrection of Jade the Snake Roberts, el documental sobre la vida de Jade the Snake. Y por último, sigan a DDP en sus redes sociales, Instagram como @DiamondDallasPage, Facebook Diamond Dallas Page y Twitter como @RealDDP. Sin más preámbulo, vamos con la entrevista. ¡Bam! Saludos a toda la afición de la lucha libre. Este que les habla es Michael Morales Torres, integrante del equipo de Lucha Libre Online. Y tenemos el enorme privilegio de presentarles a nuestro invitado especial en la tarde de hoy. WWE Hall of Famer, 3 veces campeón mundial, peso completo de WCW, ex campeón europeo de WWE, de igual manera ex campeón en pareja. Y si seguimos con el resumen, no vamos a acabar. El hombre y el genio inventor del DDP Yoga, porque es DDP. Bang! Diamond Dallas Page is in the house, baby.
Bang! Everybody understands that word.
Mr. Page, it is an honor for us to have you here as our guest. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing great. I just had an amazing workout. As you can see, I'm wearing a shirt that says unstoppable, established 1956. That's when I was born, and that's how I live my life, bro.
How did your passion for pro wrestling started? I mean, which was either the match or the wrestler or the rivalry that engaged you enough, to do this for the rest of your life?
You know, I grew up in the WWF. That's what WWE used to be called back in the 70s when I was watching in the late 60s, early 70s. And I was really drawn to the bigger than life characters first. And then the matches and the flamboyancy that went with it. Like I loved Handsome Jimmy Valiant, who was part of the Valiant Brothers. I love Superstar Billy Graham. They were the main. It was the bigger than life personalities, and I knew I was one of those since I was a little kid. So it was just a natural. I just thought I was going to do this, and I tried it at 23, but it didn't work out for me. And then I came back into 31 as a manager. Later would become a color commentator for Dusty Rhodes in Florida Championship Wrestling, and then worked my way eventually to WCW, which Dusty was running it there. And he brought me in as a manager and a color commentator. But I didn't get a contract for about 6 months. And then I got a contract for a year And 5 months into it, so I'd been there a total of 11 months, between the hair and the clothes and the rap and the diamond dolls, you know, I was too over the top to be a professional wrestling manager. So I had 7 months left of my contract. I went in the ring and I said, I never got in this business to you know, be a manager or color commentator. I wanted to be a wrestler. And that's when I started to follow my dream at 35 years old. And no one thought I could do it. Everyone laughed at me. Kind of like Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, you know, when he, you know, there's 32 teams in the NFL. 30 of them knew he was a free agent and passed. The 2 teams that didn't were the San Diego Chargers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we all know what happened last night, you know. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because of Tom Brady, are world champions again.
DDP nos revela que creció viendo la WWF en aquel momento dado, en la época de los finales de los 60, principios de los 70, WWF, y entonces una de sus superestrellas favoritas era Billy Graham, o sea, Superstar Billy Graham, entre muchísimos otros. Él intentó ser luchador o ser parte de la industria cuando tenía 23 años. No le funcionó. Entonces volvió otra vez a intentarlo cuando tenía 31 años, esta vez como un comentarista, hombre de micrófono, y como un manejador. Otros roles completamente distintos. Durante su inicio, WCW no le ofreció un contrato, sino hasta 6 meses después de haber empezado a trabajar en su rol, que dijeron, ok, este muchacho es bueno, y le ofrecieron un contrato de 1 año, que fue su primer contrato con una empresa de lucha libre. Él no quería ni siquiera hacer eso, él lo que quería era ser luchador, pero pues por algún lugar tenía que comenzar, y pues posteriormente decide finalmente decir, ¿sabes qué? Lo mío es el ring, yo quiero ir para allá adentro, y a sus 35 años decide ingresar a los cuadriláteros. Utilizó esta analogía de Tom Brady, quien ganó el Super Bowl hace poco, para explicar el motivo de su decisión y las personas que creyeron en él. A 7th ring in his record and highly probable the greatest of all time in what he does. And I wanted to speak to you about, before you get to the ring, you did have a WWE tryout in 1990, but it wasn't as a manager or as a wrestler. It was as a commentator at that point.
Right.
But instead, you ended up driving a pink Cadillac for Greg the Hammer Valentine and Honky Tonk Man for their entrance match at WrestleMania 6. How do you felt at that point, you know, being part of what people consider the greatest stage of all, WrestleMania, but not as you planned?
Well, I didn't know if that was going to be my only opportunity ever. So just being a part of WrestleMania was a big deal. I didn't get the gig because I was Diamond Dallas Page. I got the gig because of Luke, the Bushwhacker, is a friend of mine, and he would come to my nightclub, and he saw I had this 62 pink Cadillac convertible. And he ended up calling Pat Patterson with me there. And wow, this car is why I got the gig. Now that right there is 1988. If you look close, I got holes in my jeans, diamonds all over me, back when holes in your jeans wasn't considered cool. Now everybody does. But 32 years ago, that was part of my dress.
Wow. DDP revela que el gig que tuvo para ser parte de su primer WrestleMania simplemente se lo dieron porque tenía un carro particular. DDP revela que cuando estaba en su barra, en su nightclub, llega Bushwhacker Luke Williams y pues siempre era cliente habitual, pero esta vez vio el carro y como que, oye, ese carro, Cadillac, convertible, rosado, ya yo sé para lo que lo podemos utilizar. Y llama a Pat Patterson, encontramos el carro. Así que Diamond Dallas Page, su primer trabajo para WWF, fue guiando el carro que llevó en aquel momento dado a The Honky Tonk Man y su compañero. Lo interesante de esto está en que fue un carro, como él dice en aquel momento, un look particular, maones llenos de rotos, diamantes en todas partes, era parte de su estilo, que no era común, pero pues en aquel momento no era común, ahora sí, pero pues él sembró tal vez esa moda. Y pues su primera oportunidad fue porque tenía el carro indicado, tenía simplemente un carro Cadillac rosado convertible. Wow. So you got the gig because of having the
car.
cool car and the cool look. After that, you arrived to WCW as a manager at that point for the Freebirds in 1991, 3 years later. And after a few, months there, Magnum TA gave you some interesting advice, and you headed to the WCW power plant. Multiple trainers saw you there, among them, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and you began training. And you were, as you mentioned before, a 35-year-old rookie at that point. Why did you, took the risk? I mean, many people ask anyone if they can do this or if they are, too old to do this. And if people are over 30s, the answer is always this. Diamond Dallas Page started doing this at 35, and he won 3 world championships. He's a WWE Hall of Famer now. So, what inspired you enough or motivated you enough to enter the square circle?
I'm going to use Tom Brady as an example again. That guy is now the greatest of all time, but everybody wrote him off. They didn't think he had it, except for one, those 2 teams I was talking about. For me, they didn't even think I could do it. Because wrestling it's an art form, and it's very physical and very taxing on your body. And that's why the guys didn't think I could do it, because I was 35. And to be honest, I can't tell you how many times I hit that mat in this cold warehouse with no heat and 3 rings, and my body hit that mat, and I thought, man, this fake shit hurts like hell. Like, wow. This, and when you're 35 and you're just starting, you feel every square inch of the mat. If you're, any guy who's out there right now who's 35 and he's been doing it 10 years, not as much, because you build up a tolerance. Ric Flair once said, it's amazing what your body can get used to. Now, get used to for the moment. Later, your body is going to turn on you, because you can't fake gravity. You can't fake the pounding all the time on your body. That's why I created DDP Yoga, because I needed to heal myself so I could get back in the ring. And again, I wasn't thinking of being 42 then. I was also thinking of being 62 and 72 and 82. And I watched everybody walk around like in front of the TV. They're all big and strong. When they come to the back, they're weak and fragile. And I didn't want that to happen to me. So I knew I had to do something that was going to give me a different edge. And again, when people heard I was using my own form of yoga, everybody laughed at me. They're like, what is he doing? Well, 22 years later, whatever I want, that's what I'm doing. And I proved it by getting in the ring last year at this time at AEW. And not just hitting a diamond cutter, blowing a comeback and jumping off the top rope, So what I do is real, in that I don't only heal myself, I help heal others.
DDP comenzó a luchar a sus 35 años. Muchos pensaron que no podía hacerlo. Y nada, él decidió aventurarse. Decían que era una forma muy física y muy violenta de arte y que el cuerpo de DDP no iba a poder resistirlo. Él entrenaba en aquel momento dado en el WCW Power Plant. Eso era un almacén en donde no había calefacción y en pleno invierno, créeme, picaba. DDP menciona que cuando recibía sus primeras caídas, lo que él decía era, esta mierda de embuste duele con cojones, esto duele de verdad para ser falso. como se lo habían dicho anteriormente. Entonces dice como que no puedes fingir la gravedad y el impacto que recibe tu cuerpo. Por eso es que él crea DDP Yoga posterior a una serie de lesiones que sufre. Dice que él no estaba pensando en que tenía en aquel momento dado 42 años de edad, sino que estaba pensando en su futuro cuando tuviese 65, 70, 75 años, poder ser saludable y no estar todo jodido en el camerino ni en su casa. Él decía que en cámaras todos eran guerreros, todos eran hombres fuertes y eran estas personalidades más grandes que la vida propia. Pero cuando llegaban al camerino, todo el mundo tenía su espalda lastimada, tenía los hombros lastimados, las rodillas, y eran personas frágiles. Él no quería eso para él, entonces mucha gente se burla porque él crea el DDP Yoga y su propio estilo de yoga, pero eventualmente el tiempo le dio la razón y ahora es todo un éxito que cambió su vida y la de muchos otros. Since we're on that topic, I want to say something in Spanish. A toda la afición de Lucha Libre Online, DDP Yoga pueden conseguirlo en ddpyoga.com, ddpyoga.com. Ahí también pueden incluir mercancías como los hoodies, como los tank tops, como todo el programa de DDP Yoga que ha ayudado a cambiar miles de vidas, incluyendo la de J. Snake Roberts, la de Scott Hall, entre muchos otros talentos que tuvieron la oportunidad de cambiar su vida con esto. Y el app, búscalo de igual manera en el App Store de Google o en el App Store de Apple como tal, como DDP Yoga App. Los pueden seguir en Instagram, en Twitter, Facebook y YouTube como DDP Yoga. Y de igual manera puedes buscarlos en positivelyunstoppable.com, positivelyunstoppable.com para la oportunidad de ganar no 200,000, no 500,000, $1 millón si tienes la historia correcta. Simplemente positivelyunstoppable.com. De igual manera pueden seguir a Diamond Dallas Page en todas sus redes sociales, Diamond Dallas Page en Instagram, @RealDDP en Twitter, Facebook, Diamond Dallas Page, y de igual manera su documental que lo pueden ver como Relentless, disponible en Amazon Prime. Relentless, un documental excelente que habla de su vida, y de igual manera pueden ver el trabajo de DDP Yoga and the Resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts, también disponible en Amazon Prime. Since we're already on that topic, I mean, what kind of injuries did you suffer during your whole career that inspired you, to do this program, DDP Yoga, that changed so many lives? I mean, I saw yesterday a testimony from a guy that lose 180 pounds. So that guy, Jake the Snake Roberts, it's not the same before DDP Yoga than the same Jake the Snake Roberts we're seeing now, as well as Razor Ramon or Scott Hall, and so many people. Eddie Guerrero, for example, I believe Vicky was the person that told me in an interview that Eddie mentioned the exact same thing as you. Eddie, in front of the crowd, was the Latino hit. He was moving. He was a strong guy. But back there, he had his hand in his lower back. He was destroyed. Everything hurts. So what kind of injuries inspired you, to create your own DDP Yoga? And how many people DDP Yoga has helped so far?
Let's start with the first question. We have hundreds of thousands of people on our DDP Yoga app. We've had hundreds of thousands of people invest in our DVD system as well. So it was an 8-year overnight success, and that's what Relentless really shows. As far as people, for me personally, injury, I've torn both rotator cuffs. I've torn my meniscus twice in my right knee. I tore my ACL and chipped my kneecap and tore my cartilage on my right leg. That's before I ever did DDP Yoga. And what happened for DDP Yoga to come along was that I blew my back out. You could say I broke my back. I blew out my L4 and L5, like completely shattered my discs. And I had 3 spine specialists tell me my career is over. I'm 42 at the time. And there was no fusing that was going to allow me to get back in the ring at that time. And I really didn't want to get an operation on my back because Hulk had 8 back operations so far. 8 back operations. Tiger Woods has had 3. Once you start operating on the back, it just leads to more and more issues. For me, I thought can I strengthen my body? Now, I'm the guy who wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga the first 42 years of my life. But I just signed a multi-million-dollar 3-year deal. So I would do whatever it took to get in there. And I started doing yoga. And the first 3 weeks, I was blown away by how much it was helping me. But it wasn't giving me everything. So I did the rehab, because I've rehabbed both shoulders, both knees. Now I'm learning to rehab my back. I just mixed them. Then I threw in old school calisthenics, push-ups, squats, crunches, and then engaging and flexing as you're moving. And when you flex and engage, every time you flex a muscle, your heart has to beat faster to get the blood to the muscle. So what I created by accident, Michael, I'm branding everything DDPY now, so people don't call it just yoga. Today, DDPY, kick-ass cardio, dramatically increase your flexibility, strengthen your core at a different level with no impact on your body, on your joints. Like, just to show you, and I'm standing here, I'm gonna back this up a little bit. Standing here, I can grab either foot and take it and pull it over my head and have a conversation with you. This is core strength at a different level at 6'4", 225 pounds. And I am a month and a half away from my 65th birthday. So, you know, I don't lift weights. I don't run. I don't jump. I do my workout, and it keeps me lean and strong and healthy. And the people who, the biggest thing they get out of it, Michael, confidence. Confidence. That's huge.
¿Cuántas personas ha ayudado el DDP Yoga? ¿Cuántas personas? Pues a cientos de miles de personas que están activas ahora mismo utilizando el programa todos los días, al igual que a personas que ya han salido del programa, que son más cientos de miles de personas. Entonces, no ha ayudado simplemente a 2 o 3. DDP Yoga ha sido un éxito que ha ayudado a miles y miles de personas. No fue un éxito de la noche a la mañana, como muchos piensan. Y el documental muestra exactamente eso, el proceso por el que pasó para poder llegar a eso. DDP sufre muchas lesiones, entre ellas el ACL, cartílago roto, rodilla lastimada, pero hay unas lesiones en particular que lo destruyen y es sus discos de la espalda totalmente destruidos y 2 vértebras rotas. O sea, literalmente se rompió la espalda de DDP. Los especialistas le dijeron, hasta aquí, pana, ya tu vida no va a ser la misma, no vas a volver a luchar, vas a estar todo fastidiado el resto de tu vida. DDP dijo que no, mencionó que no se iba a operar, que era lo que ellos estaban solicitando en aquel momento dado que hiciera, y que Hulk Hogan se operó 8 veces su espalda y no ha sido el mismo. Tiger Woods solo operó 3, no ha sido el mismo, porque siempre van a tener que seguir abriendo, nunca sanas completamente. Comenzó a hacer este tipo de ejercicios particulares porque acababa de firmar un contrato multimillonario hace 3 años, o sea, que duraba 3 años, discúlpeme, y él no iba a soltar ese dinero, ni esa oportunidad, ni esa estabilidad financiera. Entonces, así que comenzó a rehabilitar sus lesiones con una serie de ejercicios particulares y unos estilos similares a otras cosas que él había hecho, y crea como que este workout de trabajo y de ejercicio que eventualmente se convierte en DDP Yoga. Él creó esto por accidente para rehabilitar sus lesiones y no perder su contrato. Y lo más importante es que él le brinda a las personas ese proceso de volver a confiar en ti mismo, ese self-confidence que tanto necesitan para cambiar sus vidas. Y eso es parte de lo que enseña y te ayuda a crecer DDP Yoga. You mentioned something really important, and we saw it on Jake the Snake Roberts, documentary. We've seen him on his multiple testimonies, and we've seen everything on social media. I mean, the Jake the Snake Roberts you grabbed was a defeated person without confidence at that point, with drug addiction problems, and he was open about it, with alcoholism problems, on the worst mental shape on his life. You shelter this man that was and is one of the greatest of all times, and you basically change his life, you change his health system, and now we are seeing him. And once I saw him for the first time on AEW, it was like, and I need to say it this way. Holy shit, Jake the Snake is Jake the Snake Roberts again. How did DDP Yoga and yourself did that?
Well, the first thing that I try to tell people and I try to help them with, and you mentioned it, the Positively Unstoppable $1 Million Challenge, but it started with a book, Positively Unstoppable, The Art of Owning It. It is that 6-inch piece of real estate between your ears, the story that you tell yourself, the inner monologue that goes on with every human. So many people don't ever say what they feel. They keep it inside and they have this discussion going on. And what I explained to him is that you can change the story you tell yourself. Like Jake Roberts, I had to get him to understand his real name's Aurelian Smith. And Aurelian Smith is a guy who was abused as a child, like a lot, had a very dark upbringing. His father wasn't there for him ever. It really hurt Jake a lot. And he created this Jake the Snake Roberts icon. Aurelian Smith is afraid of snakes. No bullshit. Jake Roberts ain't afraid of shit. And once I could try to get Jake Roberts over here with Aurelian and start making him understand, dude, you created that guy. You can recreate yourself. And so much of it has to do with the inner dialogue. And with this book, it's kind of like a workbook. I teach you how to reboot your brain. And then it's going to take work. Like Jake thanked me up and down for saving his life. And I was like, listen, bro, thank you so much. I know I helped, but I was the guide. That's what I was. You did the work. And I want people to own that, because like when people go, I'm going to get in shape now. I've got to do this for my kids and blah, blah, blah. I go, no, you have to do it for you. That's who you have to do it for. And once you get that and you start taking care of yourself, you can actually, Jake and I did an interview about 4 years ago. And I said, man, you've changed. Like, you've got this new light in your eyes. I go, what happened? And he said, I fell in love. I said, really? And he said, yeah, with myself. Like, self-love has so much to do with confidence, respect, truth, and just being a person of, that has dignity and feels good about themselves. Jake would bury himself. He talked so much shit about himself and put himself down. And I tell people all the time, the golden rule is treat people the way they treat themselves. Bullshit. I don't want you to treat me the way you treat you, because most people treat themselves like shit. They talk about, they bury themselves. They tell them all the things that they can't do and how they don't have that. They don't have this. They put shit food in their mouth. They treat themselves like shit. I don't. Like, right? I just got done working out for an hour and 5 minutes with two of my workout partners who were here. I left that. I came right here. Before I walked to call you, I put my infrared sauna on. When I get in the sauna, I'm going to put on my steam. Infrared sauna detoxifies your body, gets the toxins out. When I woke up, I made my girlfriend coffee. I got her ice for her shoulder, and I walked into it's called a hyperbaric chamber. And I did for the next hour and 10 minutes all my work on my phone and my computer, because they're sealed up. And what I'm doing is putting fresh oxygen with 30 feet below sea level. And it helps the brain. So that's where I started. Then I drank a shake. Then I laid on a beamer pad. Then I came down and worked out. Now I'm talking to you. Then I'm going to go in the sauna, the steam. Then I'm going to eat lunch. And then I'm going to get back on the thing. But I'm always taking care of myself because I have to show people this is where I'm at 65. And they're all like, wow, man, I can't believe you're in that great of shape at 65. But I want to be like this at 70 and 75. And that's where people are going to go, holy shit, like, I got to do that. And I walk the talk. I just don't talk shit. I'm good at that. But I talk truth and I live it. And that's how I come people respect me to do it.
DDP nos cuenta un dato bien particular y es que Jay the Snake Roberts, su nombre real es Aurelian Smith, menciona el pasado traumático de Aurelian Smith, que fue abusado, entre muchísimas otras cosas que lo marcaron de por vida. Y Aurelian Smith, el ser humano, le tiene miedo a la serpiente. Eso yo no lo sabía y yo creo que muchas personas tampoco. Pero Jay the Snake Roberts no. Aurelian Smith es el ser humano, Jay the Snake Roberts es el personaje. Por esos episodios traumáticos de su vida, él crea esta personalidad más grande que la vida, una personalidad fuerte que se convirtió en su refugio y se convirtió en Jay the Snake Roberts. DDP solo fue el guía de Jay the Snake Roberts para poder lograr su éxito nuevamente y salir de las cenizas en donde estaba. Fue el guía y Jay the Snake hizo el trabajo y le hizo entender que no es hacerlo por alguien más. No, voy a hacer esto por mis nietos, por mis hijos. No, tú tienes que hacer esto por ti, por tu amor propio, porque si tú no te amas, tú no puedes amar a más nadie. Entonces lo hace entender de que tiene que hacerlo por sí mismo y en medio de una entrevista que él tuvo con Jay the Snake 4 años atrás, le dice, pues una vez entiendas eso y comiences a cuidarte, pues entonces vas a poder hacer esto bien. Y Jay the Snake Roberts dice en esa entrevista que se volvió a enamorar y le preguntan, ¿pero de quién? De mí mismo. Esa confianza, esa dignidad, ese respeto humano y ese amor propio le revivió esa llama que tenía en su corazón. Y Jay the Snake hablaba muy mal de él antes, posteriormente eso cambió. DDP habla de sus rutinas diarias de ejercicio, del sauna, de que todos los días también tiene una cámara hiperbárica en donde le ayuda a botar esas toxinas del cuerpo, le prepara café a su novia, le ayuda a sus dolores físicos con hielo y con diferentes productos naturales, prácticamente hielo, mayormente para los dolores y el ejercicio. Entonces, pues habla de esa rutina diaria, de como digo, cámara hiperbárica, trabajo físico, la comida saludable y que se siente lleno de vida a sus 65 años. Siempre se cuida porque obviamente quiere mostrarle al mundo lo bien que está a sus 65 años y él quiere estar así por sí mismo, o sea, para su bienestar a los 75, a los 80 y cuanto sea necesario. Todo con DDP Yoga. Before we go to the next topic, a todos los amigos en español, Positively Unstoppable de Diamond Dallas Page, el libro se llama así mismo, Positively Unstoppable, The Art of Owning It, está disponible en amazon.com, al igual que en audible.com. Si lo que quieres es escuchar el libro, Audible te da la alternativa. Si a ti te gusta leerlo, Amazon es la alternativa. Simplemente denle la oportunidad porque es un libro que, créanme, va a cambiar su vida porque ha cambiado vida de personas como Jay the Snake Roberts, de personas como Scott Hall y de muchas personas. Let's talk about your documentary before we go to the last couple of questions, because we saw something interesting there about how everything changed. I mean, you were not, obviously everyone evolves, but you are definitely not the same person you were on the late 90s or the early 2000s. You don't have the same mindset. And the documentary, as I mentioned before, is Relentless, available on Amazon Prime to all our English-speaking fans. Y a los de español, Relentless, disponible en Amazon Prime para todos los amigos que hablan español. What does Relentless tells the world about Diamond Dallas Page? Give the crowd a little peek of what they can see in this over 1 hour documentary.
Well, I really get into it's really geared to inspire people to believe. And my wrestling career, it took me 8 years to be an overnight success. With Relentless, the timing didn't hit until 8 years in. I don't know what that correlation is, but 8 years on both of them. And then it blew up. and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. But on the journey to get there, there was times where I self-doubt comes in and start to second guess yourself. And I wanted people to see that. I wanted to see them to see that I, I put everything into this. I put $548,000 into this, and not at one time, over 8 years. I was at the end of it. Like, I'm sure I would have friggin', borrowed or whatever I had to do to keep going, took a loan. I never take loans on anything, so I have security. Like, I own my houses, I own all stuff, but I lost it all on this journey the first time. And I was not in a great spot financially, but because I helped one guy, that disabled veteran, forget the fact that he lost 140 pounds in 10 months. The important part was he lost the knee braces, the back brace, and the wraparound canes, not just to walk again, but run. And that one guy gave me like that spark just to keep going. And because I did that in 2007, it went viral in 2012. And that's because my business partner, Steve Yu, he's a genius. He's a great storyteller. And he's the one that really redid that. And then it took off. And Relentless is about, you have to see it. You have to have it burned into your brain. Before you start that, you can't do it for money. You have to be, if you're going to try to do something for yourself, you have to do it because you love it, because you have passion, because you could work 24/7 like I do a lot, but I never feel like I'm working. Now I'll get wore out and tired. Then I know I got to shut down for a little bit, but then I'm going to come right back and do the same thing. Like right now, Michael, I never have to work again. I'm in that spot, and the company's still going to grow by itself. But that's not what I'm in it for. I'm in it to help people not just change their life, but own their life. And it makes me feel really good about me. And I'm leaving something that is super powerful. If you talk about Steve Jobs, the entire movie, documentary, book is going to be his journey from Macintosh and Apple. That's it. You talk about Diamond Dallas Page today, you're going to talk about wrestler, maybe nightclub guy, wrestler, fitness guru. But 5 years from now, you'll add in actor, because I've got a series coming out on Netflix, and it's going to come out probably this summer, maybe spring, but I don't think so. I think summer's the date it's going to come. It's called Guardians of Justice. And then once again, people are going to see me do something that, when the hell did he do that? Like, I've been doing that for 22 years. It just hasn't taken off yet, but it's gonna. And I know it's gonna, because now I'm putting all my energy towards that. And again, proving to people that it's not about how old you are, or your financial income, because I was down to nothing, when it finally hit. And a lot of people think I went from wrestler to this fitness company that exploded. Like, no, didn't work like that. It was a lot of hard work and belief in yourself. Again, back to Tom Brady. Tom Brady saw him winning the world championship. He didn't see it those first 12 games when they were 7-5, but the last 8, when they went 8-0, he started seeing it and seeing it and seeing it and believing it. And if you really look at it, it's kind of crazy, because going into the Super Bowl on the road, he beat 3 different Super Bowl MVPs in Mahomes and Rodgers and beers. God, what the hell's his name? From New Orleans, the quarterback from there. Can't remember his name right now. It escapes me, but I'm pretty sure his last name is Beers. Drew Beers. Drew, whatever. All three of them. He beat all three of them. And now he's the guy, over everybody. And he might do it again next year because that team is going to get better. So it's going to be interesting to watch. But he hit salary caps and all that. And then sometimes, guys, they're going to go take the money. And then there goes the team.
DDP menciona que le tomó 8 años alcanzar su éxito. 8 años para hacer que su documental fuese un éxito de la noche a la mañana, como la gente le llama, que no fue un éxito de 8 a la mañana. Tomó 8 años y mucho trabajo y $148,000 de su bolsillo producir ese documental. El éxito fue 8 años después. Y al igual que también para DDP Yoga, 8 años es la relación que él tiene. Y DDP dice que gastó $148,000, perdió mucho dinero en el proceso. Dice que perdió todo en su primer intento, en todos sus proyectos, perdió casa, perdió todo, estaba sin nada, pero nunca se rindió. Todo pues hasta que logró concretar las cosas y que fuese un éxito. A él le ayudó mucho el proyecto de DDP Yoga, sobre todo el documental, que le ayudó un veterano. Yo me acuerdo de ese video, que perdió la cantidad de 146, 145 libras en 10 meses y le ayudó, como que olvídate de las libras que perdió las cosas que tenía para poder sostenerse en sus pies con la rodilla, etcétera, etcétera. Y pues obviamente adquirió esa confianza en sí mismo y obviamente le dio esa vida para poder continuar. Le dio créditos a su compañero por eso, porque fue el que se encargó de la producción de ese video que se viralizó y lo volvió populares. Entonces, él le hace entender eso mismo. O sea, no pueden hacerlo por dinero lo que vayan a hacer. No puedes hacerlo por la fama. Sea lo que sea que vayas a hacer, tienes que hacerlo porque lo amas, porque te apasiona y que puedas hacer eso 24/7 sin aburrirte y que no sientas que es trabajo. Él dice que en ese punto él se siente a sí mismo. No tiene que volver a trabajar el resto de su vida, pero hace las cosas porque le apasiona. Entonces nos dio una primicia bien interesante y es que va a debutar su serie en Netflix en el verano del 2021. Se llama Guardians of Justice, Netflix, verano 2021. Dice que ha estado haciendo eso por 22 años, actuando, haciendo todo y que tal vez no ha despegado como quisiera hasta que el momento dado, pero lo hará. Por eso él sigue haciéndolo, por eso él sigue intentándolo, porque tiene la fe en sí mismo y tiene fe en que sus proyectos van a ser exitosos. Si no, pues para qué está haciéndolo. No es cuán viejo seas o cuán pobre seas o cuántas finanzas destruidas tengas, porque él lo perdió todo y lo concretó. Y eso es lo que él trata de mostrarle al mundo con su documental y con su estilo de vida y su historia inspiradora. Mr. Page, last 2 questions. I'm seeing something behind you that is big and it's gold. And you won it 3 times during your career. And I'm talking about the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. You won it,
yes, sir.
For the first time. I mean, you made your debut in 1991 at 35 years old. 4 years later, you conquered your first title, which was the WCW television title at that point against Renegade on Fall Brawl. Right. But 4 years after that, you earn you pay your dues, as many people said. You earned that title. On April 1999, you won the World Heavyweight Championship of WCW at Spring Stampede against none other than Ric Flair, Hulk freaking Hogan, and Sting. You defeated the 3 of them in one. And I mean, Jericho always speaks about defeating Rock and Austin in the same night, but you defeated Sting, Hulk Hogan, and Ric Flair all in the same night to win that title. What was the most special part of winning that title in your career, and what did it mean for you as a person, as a human being? Not the wrestler, not the DDP and the Bang, but to the person that was a hard worker all his life.
I learned a lesson when I was a young man. And it's too long a story to get into, but I learned that work ethic equals results. And when I equate the World Championship, especially the first one, and inside my Hall of Fame ring, it says work ethic equals dreams, exclamation point, DDP. I knew that if I just kept working and I stayed healthy and I just kept moving forward, that eventually I was going to do it. And I'll tell you a story. In 1994, I was talking to Dusty Rhodes. It was like November, and Dusty was my mentor. Without Dusty Rhodes, there is no Diamond Dallas Page. He was there to help me mentally through a lot of stuff. And it's one of the reasons why me and Cody are so close. But Dream and I were talking, and I was disenchanted. I was pissed off, to tell you the truth. You know, with the booking committee, they weren't giving me an opportunity. And at one point I said, you know, Dusty, and I've been ranting for a while. You know, I know I'm never going to be you or Rick or Hulk. I know I'm never going to be the world champion. But these sons of, she went, Dallas, enough. What did you just say? Now I feel kind of stupid. You know, I'm like, well, Dusty had never yelled at me before. He's yelling at me, shut up. And what did I just say? I said, well, I know I'm never going to be you, Dusty. If I would have kept wrestling when I was 23, I said, maybe, but I didn't. So I'm never going to be you or Rick or Hulk. And he goes, no, D, what did you say after that? I said, well, I know I'm never going to be the world champion. He said, and what the hell are you doing it for? He said, as hard as you work, if you don't believe, D, if you don't believe that you're going to be the world champion, you need to get the hell out of our business right now. And he kept talking. And be honest, Mike, I can't tell you a thing he said after that, but I know exactly what I did. Because it felt like his hand came through the phone and just bitch slapped me. And there was a pad next to my phone. And I pulled the pad over while Dusty was talking. And I wrote, I will be the world champion in 5 years or less. It was 4 years, 4 months, and 14 days when I would step in the ring. Now, this is the crazy part. 4 years, 4 months, and 14 days earlier, I said, I know I'm never going to be you or Rick or Hulk. I'm stepping into the ring with Rick and Hulk. Dusty's not in, but Sting's the damn franchise. Randy Savage is the guest referee. When I really think about that today, I'm like, wow, like I predicted it. I saw it. And then what a lot of people do is they start to get that negative talk in their ear and they quit. And then they come back and then they quit and they come back. They don't ever make it, those people. Never. You know who makes it? The Eddie Guerreros. They're frigging the Rey Mysterio, who's 5'5". Let me tell you a funny story about Rey Mysterio. When I was my rookie year, which was 1991, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, they're the benchmark of feud of the year, rookie of the year, wrestler of the year. They're pretty spot on. And I thought, I'm going to be the rookie of the year. And Eric Watts, Bill Watts' son, came in the company in September. Big, good-looking kid, 6'6", 260. Bill pushed him through the moon, and he ended up becoming the rookie of the year. And I thought, you know what? I know Dave Meltzer. He knows, because he knows worldwide. He knows I'm the rookie of the year. And I look and I go, Rey Mysterio? He's the rookie of the year? Who the hell is Rey Mysterio? And then Rey came into WCW. And I want to say maybe he was 18 at the time. And I heard he was in the building. And I went right I didn't go to the monitor. I went to Gorilla, so I could watch this kid. And when I watched him, all I could think to myself was, wow, I was a really distant second place, because that kid is like a superhero. You know, Rey Mysterio, ever since he was, you know, I guess probably a baby, he was just unstoppable. I got so much respect for Rey, and I was absolutely in second place that year. But and I felt good about it. And over the years, I mean, Rey is just such a stud. And speaking of, you know, Conan was just here at my house working with me probably about a month and a half ago. And I set him up for the program and trying to get him, because he wants to do one more run. And I think it would be huge. But, you know, he's working so hard, got to pull him off the work and get him to work on his, you know, because he's been running around the house, you know, running around the ring a few times. So, you know, he's had a hell of a run. So I want to try to get him up to Conan level and then hopefully get that running again. So we'll see.
Well, let's hope to see that's something really exciting for Latin American market, especially for us who love Conan. We remember him big time, so let's hope to see him soon again. Before we go, I want to say something out again in Spanish. DDP Yoga disponible en ddpyoga.com. Relentless disponible de igual manera en Amazon Prime, al igual que el documental de Jade Snake Roberts disponible en Amazon Prime. Positively Unstoppable disponible en Amazon y en audible.com. De igual manera, DDP Yoga disponible en Instagram, Facebook, Twitter y YouTube como @DDP Yoga de igual manera. Y Twitter @RealDDP, Instagram @DiamondDallasPage. Sir, it's been more than an honor to have you here as our guest. Always wishing you the best, not of luck, of success, more success in your life to achieve everything you are doing right now and to keep helping the people you're helping during their lives. Thank you so much for your time and hope you're still safe during this pandemic situation.
You too, buddy. Stay safe and thanks for having it on. See you later, guys. Bang.
DDP gana su primer campeonato mundial peso completo de WCW, como dicen por ahí, de manos de Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan y Sting en una misma lucha con Macho Man Randy Savage, oh yeah, como árbitro especial aquella noche. Entonces, antes de todo eso, Dusty Rhodes lo ayudó mentalmente cuando él más lo necesitaba. Por eso es que él es tan allegado a Cody, porque Dusty estuvo para él ahí en muchas ocasiones. DDP estaba bien molesto un día y desencantado con el equipo creativo de WCW y que nunca tenían nada para él. Entonces nunca le daban una oportunidad. Cuando dijo que de repente, yo nunca voy a hacer, en la conversación con Dusty Rhodes, nunca voy a ser Dusty Rhodes, yo nunca voy a hacer esto, lo otro, nunca voy a ser campeón mundial peso completo. Y Dusty le dice, what did you say? ¿Qué dijiste? Y él dice, ¿qué dije yo ahora? Metí la pata. Diablo, este tipo se va a enojar conmigo. Que dije yo, pues es que nunca voy a ser tú, Dusty, nunca voy a ser Hogan, nunca voy a ser Ric Flair, nunca voy a ser campeón mundial peso completo de WCW. ¿Y para qué rayos estás en esta industria? ¿Para qué tú estás en mi industria si no vas para ser campeón mundial peso completo? Vete. Y él se queda como que, cierto. Si estoy aquí para otra cosa, pues simplemente no. Entonces dijo, yo cuando tenía 23 años, yo no quería seguir luchando, pero lo hice, porque tarde o temprano iba a llegar. Y lo mismo le ocurre a DDP. Entonces DDP, Dusty sigue hablando. Y en su mente, en esa conversación telefónica, él sintió que le abofetearon la cara y él se le quedó eso, como que si no estás aquí para ser campeón mundial peso completo, ¿para qué rayos estás? Simple. Él agarra un notepad y comienza a escribir, voy a ser campeón mundial peso completo de WCW de aquí a 5 años como mínimo. De aquí a 5 años yo voy a concretar ese título. Le tomó 4 años, 4 meses y 14 días. Y cuando se topa el cuadrilátero, se acuerda de esa historia y dice, yo nunca voy a ser Ric Flair, está en el ring conmigo. Nunca voy a ser Hulk Hogan, está en el ring conmigo. Nunca voy a ser Dusty Rhodes. Dusty no estaba, pero estaba la franquicia de WCW, que era Sting. Y como cherry encima del pastel, Macho Man como árbitro especial. Y ahí es que él simplemente como que le hace todo sentido lo que el universo y la vida tenían para él. Entonces, él dice que quienes lo logran, que, o sea, quienes piensan como que de manera derrotista, no lo logran en esta industria. Pero quienes lo logran, los Rey Misterio, los Eddie Guerrero, los guerreros de verdad, los que se tienen el corazón para hacerlo, aunque no tengan la estatura como Rey, que mide 5'5", como él dice. Y dice que tiene una historia particular con Rey Misterio, y es que cuando él debuta, él estaba seguro de que él iba a ganar el novato del año, ese premio es mío, y de repente llega Eric Watts, el hijo de Bill Watts, y dice, este tipo lo están dando un impulso hasta la luna, perdí el premio de Pro Wrestling Illustrated al novato del año, mano, qué dolor. Cuando de momento, Dave Mercer me conoce, él debe hablar bien de mí por lo menos para ver si me dan el premio. Cuando de momento él ve quién gana el premio, no es Eric Watts, no es él, Rey Misterio. ¿Quién carajo es Rey Misterio? No tenía ni la más ni idea. Ya quién sabe quién es Rey Misterio, molesto porque pierde su premio al novato del año. Y WCW filma a Rey Misterio cuando Rey Misterio tenía 18 años. Y yo tengo que ver a este Rey Misterio. Y él no fue por uno de los monitores o vio el show después. No. Él tenía que ver eso en persona y se asoma por el Gorilla Position por la cortina. Y cuando él ve a Rey Misterio, le dice, quedé segundo lugar, pero por bien lejos, porque Rey Misterio es mucho mejor que yo como luchador. Y él aceptó eso. Como que quedé segundo lugar, pero bien distante. Este tipo es demasiado bueno. Dice que respeta mucho a Rey. Y menciona una historia bien interesante en este punto que nadie sabía, así que esto es exclusivo para Lucha Libre Online. Conan está entrenando para regresar a los cuadriláteros y eso no lo confirma DDP. ¿Por qué? Porque DDP es quien lo estuvo entrenando hace un mes y medio y que lo ingresó a este programa de DDP Yoga. DDP lo estaba entrenando para que Conan pudiera volver a los cuadriláteros, que esa es su meta en algún momento dado. Y él quiere DDP llevarlo al mismo nivel en donde estaba Conan anteriormente. Antes de irnos, siempre el shout out a mi gente. Raza Brava, Reconstruction, we're in the house. A mi pana Jay y al resto del equipo de Reconstruction. Pueden seguirlos en Reconstruction Wear en Facebook, Twitter e Instagram. Reconstruction Wear, Facebook, Twitter e Instagram. Y de igual manera pueden conseguir todos sus productos como esta super camisa que dice Raza Brava, representando a Puerto Rico en la casa, coño. rcwnation.com, RCW o W, como quieran llamarle en su país, RCW Nation, NATION.com, RCWNation.com. Reconstruction Wear siempre parte de nuestra gente. Y de igual manera estén pendientes a Tommy Fierro y a Iris Wrestling con los meet and greet virtuales más pompeados que hay en el momento. Mano, hay un montón. Tuvimos hace poco a Ted DiBiase, un montón de gente, pero prontito viene, de hecho, Jay the Snake Roberts, a finales de marzo. Jay the Snake Roberts va a estar por ahí, al igual que muchísimas otras personas como Haku. Así que échenle un ojito a Iris Wrestling, lo pueden buscar en Facebook, Twitter e Instagram. Y para adquirir las fotitos firmadas que los mismos talentos te firman y te envían el shout out allí, simplemente vayan a iriswrestlingcon.com, iriswrestlingcon.com, y adquieran todas sus fotos firmadas de allí. Así que eso, y siempre nunca se olviden ddpyoga.com, DDP Yoga App, DDP Yoga en Facebook, Twitter, Instagram y YouTube. Real DDP lo pueden conseguir en sus redes sociales también, o Diamond Dallas Page en Facebook, por darle un ejemplo. Y Relentless, el documental de DDP, disponible en Amazon Prime, al igual que su libro Positively Unstoppable en Amazon.com. Gracias a todos por siempre estar en sintonía de Lucha Libre Online, la marca número 1 de Pro Wrestling y Combat Sports en español.